feast, another series of feasts. Shalom, shalom, Yasharala. Welcome to another session, another room 144. Pray that you guys are having a blessed Sabbath. Are you? How about the week? How was the week? All praises. Good to hear. Good to hear. So this evening we're covering the will of the Most High, right? The title is Thy Will, Not My Will. So try to explain a little bit of what the will of the Most High is, just in case we're not aware. So let's open up with Hebrews. Hebrews 12. Let me get Hebrews 12, 1 and 2.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us.
Salaki, give me a minute. It's Romans, yeah, Romans.
Oh,
Salaki, fam.
the book of Romans,
Yeah, Romans 12.
chapter 12. The book of Romans, chapter 12, and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may that ye may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
So it's telling you what we need to do, right? To be able to prove, right, what the Most High is that He requires from us, and that is that perfect, what the result of that is the perfect will of the Most High. We need to do what? It tells you right here. Read the beginning of 2 again.
And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
The renewing of our mind, right? I work all throughout all kinds of cities in Los Angeles, right? And for years I peeped the Spirit on a Friday. You guys know what it looks like. All these cities, these major cities, is like going to downtown. The clubs are open, right? The bars are open. I don't know how many teams are playing tonight. I know the Cowboys are playing. So I could just imagine how many other sports are live right now. Just yesterday, for example, the Dodgers took the West, right? Yesterday was what, though? It was what? It was the Sabbath. How many Israelites do you think were out there breaking the Sabbath? A whole lot. And that's why there's a lot of things when you start really living these words, these precepts. I don't know about you guys, but I know myself, I started feeling some type of way about a lot of stuff that I used to either partake or my family partook or probably still partakes. I met my brother-in-law at the store today. I seen him, and he was like, "Did you go to the game?" I'm like, "Nah." He's like, "Yeah, we were out there." That means him, my sister, and my niece, right? So I'm like, "Yeah, of course." But let anything be in regards to the Most High, nobody's concerned. So the Most High is telling you right here, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High. By the mercies of the Most High. He's letting you know, like, listen, I'm begging you. I'm trying to really make you understand that because of the mercies of the Most High, right, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. A lot of times, what we can't give up is temporary fun. Fun that's just for a moment. A pleasure that's just for a moment, right? When you look at a lot of these things that we enjoy are just for a season, if that. Imagine these relationships our people go and have, for example, tonight, tomorrow night. Sunday, they're back at church, right? Some of them with the same outfit from Saturday night and all the stank from Saturday night, right? But imagine the way we've been conditioned to think, you know what, that's cool, because the whole world is doing it. then why shouldn't I partake? But the Most High is telling you, listen, Paul's telling you, letting you know, like, look, if you understand the mercies of the Most High, it's vital that you guys present your bodies a living sacrifice. I'll ask questions, but I don't really need an answer. But the question would be, does it really feel like a sacrifice doing what the Most High requires of us? It doesn't after, maybe at the beginning it might. But for some people it does, right? And that shows you right there when you're examining yourself, like, okay, where am I? If I'm still having issues with doing what the Most High requires of me, then I'm not fully there. If it feels good and you start hating that righteous hatred, you start hating the world and the things of the world, that means you are what the Most High is asking you to be right here. What Paul is giving you as advice, right? To be transformed. So it says, and be not conformed to this world, right? But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. Just by reading that precept, it should make sense, right? But again, we're here to edify. We're here because, we're here to study. We're here to really understand what these things are about. But a lot of times, even if we hear hours, we might be at home listening, reading the Bible, it still don't click. And these are the things we got to analyze. A lot of times I hear and I see people in class either spaced out or in their own little conversations, completely detached from the scriptures. Probably showing up 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late to a feast. Acting like it's all good. No shame, and it's something that is a pattern of bad works, right? And you start thinking like, damn, you're really cool with that? Not only that, but, brothers might not be present sometimes on feast days that are mandatory. And you don't really see a repentful or a shame in those individuals. So that's like, are you really transforming yourself to be what the Most High requires for you to be? Or are we still doing our will? A lot of times we do our will, Even when the Sabbath comes about, like, you know what, I'm burnt out. The Sabbath is a day of rest anyway, so guess what? I'm going to just stay home and kick it. Although there's a lot of work to be done at the congregation, but they got it. It says, present your bodies a living sacrifice. I look at my brother burnt out. We was talking the other day, me and my guy going home like, man, I feel mad tired. Is this normal? Now, to an extent, what we do is not normal. You know what? That's right. But it is. Because we living in a world that's not normal. This is normal. But everything that we're expected from the world is not normal. That's why we're always so drained. But guess what? All praises again. I'm going to keep talking about that. The fruits, right? The blessings that the Most High has given us. It's like, listen, make sure that we take advantage of everything that we have. Beginning, starting with us. Starting with each other. Right? So read verse 2 again.
And be not conformed to this world. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Mm-hmm. So, what is will? When the Most High, it says, we say it all the time, let thy will be done. What are we saying with that? His way, right? His plans, God's plan, God's plans. And when you look into that, a lot of times, again and again, it's like having children. We know, for the most part, if you care for your kids, you want the best for them, right? The best for them could seem different in every single household. The bishop spoke about it last Saturday, I think it was, about the core values. The vision shouldn't be different from one household to the other, right? The vision should be the same. The core values should be the same, which is what we have right here in the Bible. And one accord, exactly. But what does that look like? Just in Israel alone, when one has this doctrine and that person or that congregation has a different doctrine, you know. But again, that's part of the process. You know, that's part of the process. But what we need to be doing is having more conversations with each other, which is what the scriptures break down as far as being another sacrifice. And he says, for which such sacrifice he is well pleased. Having adult conversations with each other. Even amongst, you know, brothers and sisters that have families. You know, have these conversations with each other. What does that look like? Brothers that have, you know, now grandsons and granddaughters. And we're successful in bringing up the first generation. Now bringing up a second generation. Instead of us wasting time doing our own will and doing our own fun, you know, and whatever pleasures we want to partake in, these are the things that we need to be looking at. Because this is what the Most High said from the beginning. Look, this is what's required of you, right? So meditate on that scripture right there. Let's go from there. Let's get let's go to Deuteronomy 10 and 12.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, and verse 12. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord, and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
Exactly. So he's letting you know right there from the jump. And that's not the first time he's telling you that. He said that back to Adam and Eve back in the garden, right? Says all you need to do is this. Don't go searching from that tree, from that knowledge, because that's not good for you. This is where your safety is. Not there. But guess what happened? Them voices, them what do you call it? Them influences came to Eve. She was influenced, and then what did she do? She found death. Because she didn't find no power, she found death. Because that's really what happens with us. We start feeling some type of way about what the Most High requires, what the Most High set forth for us to do, his judgments, his tests, that we start questioning God. How many people have you heard out there, man, if there was a God, God wouldn't have given my mom cancer or my father cancer. And they start their little slogan stickers and clothing and all that where they're blaspheming the Most High's name. Not understanding, guess what? The book of Exodus, these 10 commandments that we talk about, tells you that he was going to visit those that hated him. 3 up to 4 generations. But we don't ever sit back to examine, damn, what was my mom like? What was my father like? What was my uncle like that got cancer? What was the track record with his parents? I mean, if we do, we don't got to go too far. Because if we're in the world, we idolaters. And beyond that, fornicators, adulterers, thieves. I mean, you name it. Because that's basically what the whole system was laid out. Not because of the system, but because of us. All of Deuteronomy 28 was a product of our misbehaving. So then you look at, the Willie Lynch letter and systematically how everything's been laid out. Then, of course, we have the odds are against, we know that the odds are against us. But if we read these scriptures in the same book, let's go to Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy 30 breaks it down. What was going to happen? Read 1 through, 3? Maybe 5. But right here already we know, you look at the book of Micah, right before the New Testament, 6 and 8, tells you the same thing what the Most High requires of us. Which he said, right? Love me with all your heart, with all your soul, and love each other, and keep these commandments. And you continue to read, he's like, and then this way, whenever you go and rule, everybody gonna be at peace with you. We'll go ahead and get this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, that thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all I command thee this day.
So imagine that, right? What he just broke down. He says, listen, this is what's going to happen. It says, all these things are going to come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee. And then once that happens, you're going to come back, and these laws are going to come back to mind, right? Among all the nations where he was going to scatter us. Read 2. Yeah.
And thou shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day.
Exactly. We would again do his will. How he had commanded us from the beginning, that if we did, none of this would happen to us, right, as a nation. Brother went into the story of Solomon. That was a class, right? Or that was us? When he broke down Solomon, Bishop? No, that might have been with the men's. But just when you understand the Warak, when you understand Solomon, for example, right? Multiple wives. But what did he have at the end? Multiple strange women. That at his old age, one of the wisest individuals in Israel, what happened to him? And not only to him, but the scriptures break it down, but to his son and to the people, to us. We're a product of not doing the Most High's will through that brother. Because it wasn't the wife situation, but it was the fact that it was these strange women that led Israel to do strange things through Solomon. Then Jeroboam, then Rehoboam. Then the whole kingdom was split. If we can't understand from those situations and see how bad it got, imagine from the little choices that we make. Because I was a king, right? The same thing with us, though. A lot of these little choices that we make that we know we shouldn't be, partaking of, at the end of the day is the same outcome. Because we're not leading too many people. If we have a family, we're leading them. We're part of a congregation, right? But already we don't understand that that's all the individuals we're going to affect by taking and making these, these wrong moves, making these wrong decisions. But that's what the scripture is talking about. Look, all this was going to happen. After the blessing, the curse, then you were going to come back and call them to mind among all the nations where you were going to be scattered. That's where we are. Then we come here, we call them to mind, but then we forget again, right? It's like the book of Judges. Every week, just with us, this congregation, every week is like the book of Judges. Every day. But why? Because instead of doing the will of the Most High, knowing that there's going to be consequences, right? Because you look at the things, right? They break down, when you read, study religion, and the will of the Most High being broken down into 3 different categories. And then one is like the decrepit, or decorative, will of the Most High. That is pretty much whatever decree he puts forth is done. Like creation, for example, like a storm, right? He says it, let there be light, there was light. Then, you have the perceptive will. That's where we start, trying to figure things out. Like, okay, the laws are here, but if I don't follow them, nothing's really going to happen to me, at least not for a moment. We start lying to ourselves, not understanding that, listen, the Most High, yeah, he gave us free will because he don't want none of us to be robots, right? You don't want, exactly, you want honest and real love. But these are the things we forget. He's still in charge. And being that he's still in charge, there's still, from this same book that we're reading right now, Deuteronomy, right? Go to 30 and read 19. Same chapter.
Verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live.
Exactly. You see that? So he's like, listen, I'm giving you a choice, but not really. And not because he, wants to flex his power or anything, because he knows what's best for us. He's like, listen, you could choose life or choose death. I'm telling you to choose life because I love you. Imagine that. We take that and we get upset at that. Nope. We correct each other. You get upset at whoever's bringing that correction to you. Like, brothers, sisters, do this out of love. Do it out of love. But, that's how Israel is pretty much wired. We're so disconnected and we're so influenced by the world. Instead of being transformed, we stay stuck. We stay stuck and constantly, chase all the vanity that we have around us. The Most High, again, clearly says, look, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Let me get the second book of Esdras, 7-21.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7.
21. Whenever you guys get a chance, you could look at that. That whole chapter is talking about how Israel was back in the day and how it is now. Actually, let's go up a little higher. Read 10.
Verse 10.
9, Salakia.
Verse 9. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance?
So it's talking about a dangerous place, right? There was fire on one side, right? And there was water, deep water on the other end. And only a individual was able to go through this narrow path and narrow entrance at a time. That's where we at right now. We surrounded with danger. Wherever we are, at home, just because we have these devices right here, this is dangerous right here. Because you might have and want to do right? But then again, you open up a device, you get a call, you watch whatever you're watching, whatever you're being programmed with, right? Is that quick? A thought comes in your head, and then guess what? A message, somebody looks at you a certain way, you get some type of attention, you're running with that. That's what it's describing right here. It's dangerous where we are right now. Going back, tabernacles. I see the babies running freely, left and right. You don't really see parents minding because guess what? They're in quarters that we know are safe. That's what the world used to be like. But now imagine you take them to a park. Even the concerns about Brucella, right? Where the baby's going to be at? Right. Who's going to attend to the babies? What about the entrances? Brother said, no, we got that on lock. They had that on lock. Out here, we had that on lock. That's what this looks like, right? But now the place that we're in is right here. Is a dangerous situation, left and right. Go ahead, Ak.
And I said, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion, because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done.
His will, right? His decree was set forth. But it wasn't because it was his choice. He told Adam and Eve, listen, don't worry about that right there. Leave that alone. Just how he gave us the law, the commandments, right? The statutes, the precepts. He said, Israel, look, don't deal with them. All these other nations, don't deal with them. That's my will. What is Israel's will? Nah, you know what? I like these Asians. I like these Africans. I like these little snow bunnies over here. What do we end up doing? Our will. So then, therefore, our life gets complicated. It becomes complicated. Our babies is completely confused, right? They're not rooted in anything of the Most High because guess what? They were brought up and created in a place where they were not even supposed to be planted, right? and vice versa. Our daughters go with the heathens, and guess what? At that point, you're not even Israel no more. Because what can you know, you're dealing with your husband, right? You're influenced by his families and whatever surrounds you, which is the world. What root are you going to have in this law, in your inheritance? None. So this is what the Most High is breaking down. Like, look, Adam transgressed my statutes, then was the decree that now is done, which is what? Read 12.
Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail.
Full of sorrow and travail. I'm bringing this out so we could understand the will of the Most High, and we're going to read it in a minute in the same chapter that we've been going over for months, Jeremiah 29. He's like, look, I expect for you guys to have a beautiful end, a successful end. He also tells you, or tells us, my thoughts are not your thoughts, right? But just listen, Israel. All you got to do is listen, and everything going to be all right. And obey, exactly. But no, it says, now therefore the entrances of this world were made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. Going into the scripture in Lamentations, what right do we have as sinners to complain about our situation, being that we are sinners? None. So then we got to shut up, analyze these scriptures, understand them, learn them, commit to them, right? Go ahead, Art.
Because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed, now that is done, then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils, and very painful. For the entrance of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. Now therefore why disquietest thou thyself, seeing thou art a corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal?
Imagine that. This is Esdras. My brother always brings that up. Like, man, if you don't believe Esdras, and Esdras was doing the most, he was a righteous man. And you're supposed to know more than Esdras? Tripping. Hey, let Israel tell it, though. Israel be acting like they're way beyond Esdras. And this brother's letting you know. And look at how the Most High is treating him. It's like, man, listen. You're acting like you sound big, like you're not. Listen, right? But just to understand that, jump down to 21.
Verse 21.
Read 19. Yeah.
Verse 19. Then he said unto me,
Salakia, read 18, man.
verse 18, nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things, and hope for wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide.
Listen to that, right? Again, right now the whole world's out there enjoying themselves. So-called, right? The scripture said, read that again.
And he said unto me,
No,
Mike check.
18.
Of 18, Salakia. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things, and hope for wide.
So you see, basically what we're suffering right now, it is not that big a deal. It is, but it's not. Romans 8 and 18 tells you, you cannot compare what you're going through right now with the blessings that are to come, right? So it says, nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for wide. That's the point. That's what's going to keep you doing the will of the Most High, knowing that there's a better outcome, a better tomorrow, a better future, right? But the world does what? Go ahead.
For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things.
Look at that. And just that right there, too. You call somebody wicked, the reaction is crazy, knowing damn well that they're wicked. The wicked is just the opposite of righteous. So if you're not righteous, if any of us is not righteous, we're wicked. You might not be wicked 100% of the time, but at that moment, you're off. You're acting wickedly. You're being wicked. So then the Most High says, For they that have done wickedly have suffered the what?
For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide.
Imagine that. Job breaks it down. It says the triumph of the wicked is but for a moment. A lot of us are cool with that moment. That's why you have, these ideas out in the world that, you know what, as long as I'm happy now, tomorrow don't matter. I'm happy, not us, not my family, me. That selfishness, right? That's one of the many downfalls that we have, that and pride. But you see it with mothers, you see it with fathers, right? Vice versa with the babies, because the babies are only a product of what the parents are. So if that's what they see, that's what they become. It's rare that, some break that cycle, and that's why we have, what the scriptures talk about in Jeremiah, that the kids were going to run the house, the women were going to be completely out of order, the righteous men were not nowhere to be found, the honorable men. But it's on us to reverse that. It's on us here to start being those examples. I was talking to Jake on the way in right now. I was like, man, we really got to be them examples. The Most High is blessing us. While people are arguing back and forth, even if it's doctrine, it's not the time. Like, if we've been here this long already and we know about this word for at least 10, 20 years, don't you think we should be at a different level? We should have something to show for. So if you're in a place where you don't have anything to show for, you're still not understanding the basics, there's an issue where you at. There's an issue with those leaders. That means that they're still not doing the will of the Most High, but doing their own will. Because it's crazy. Like, our people love knowledge and love fame. When they came out with all these apps, man, they really got our people, because there's a lot of talent out there that goes and is put forth pretty much for free. Our people sometimes chase the fame over, the benefits that you could have from your artistry. That's how Esau, man. And again, it's us. Timothy, I believe it's Timothy, right? 2 Timothy 3, that talks about we were going to become lovers of ourselves. That's really where we at a lot of times, even in this word. Loving ourselves instead of loving the nation, instead of loving the Most High, instead of loving Christ and his sacrifices and our forefathers. We love ourselves. We do our will. And with that, while we doing that, we bring down the nation. Just how some of our forefathers did. Right? So this is what it's talking about. These are individuals that are doing wickedly, that are like, have suffered the straight things, but yet will not see the wide. This is what we got to examine. Are we them? And if we are, we still have time. We still have time to repent and start doing the will of the Most High. Continue on up.
Verse 19, and he said unto me, there is no judge above God, and none that hath understanding above the highest. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of God that is set before them. For God hath given straight commandments such as Cain, what they should do, Salakia, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should do, Salaki, what they should observe to avoid punishment.
Look at that. Deuteronomy 30 just read that. We read that, right? 30 and 19. It says, for the Most High hath given straight commandment. It's not difficult. It's not foggy. It's clear. To such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment, which is to do his will. But what happened? 22.
Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him, and imagined vain things.
And that's what we do. You know what? It's not fair that the Most High took my child. It's not fair that the Most High took my grandmother. Therefore, you know what? And it don't even make sense. It don't compute. Therefore, you know what? I'm completely detaching myself from God and doing me. That's how Israel operates. I used to be an Israelite. Man, what I want to say is not, about that, but it's beyond stupid How the hell were you an Israelite? But then again, you know what? If I read, was it Romans? They were not all Israel. Because if they were, they would still be here. So I guess they are right. They used to be Israel to an extent because they're gone now. They're heathen. There you go. They never was. They never were Israelites. They were just, going through the motions. And that's scary because that's, again, a Cain, a Judas. Even Saul being the king at the end of the day, look at where he ended up. And so forth, right? But these are the things that the scriptures are telling you. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things. 23.
And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. But his law have they despised, and denied his covenants. In his statutes they have not been faithful, and have not performed his works. And therefore Esdras, for the empty are empty things.
Man, listen to this. I don't know how these scriptures hit you guys. This is the Most High talking to Esdras, right? And he said, and therefore Esdras, for the empty are empty things. It sounds cold-blooded, but it's not. It sounds cold-blooded, but it's not. Just how he says, I always recall the script. I think it's Proverbs where it says, I will laugh at your calamity. That sounds crazy, but it's not. It's fair. And then these are the same people that are having issues with the Most High. Why, Most High? Okay, hold up. What have you been doing for the Most High? Nothing. Doubting. Living my life as I please. Doing my will. So now you expect the Most High to help you in your time of need, when I'm pretty sure you've heard these scriptures plenty of times where it says he will laugh at your calamity. Right now, the Most High is laughing at your calamity. Why? Because you have abandoned him for years, whatever time. Jeremiah breaks it down for too long. But you expect for him to help you. Imagine disrespecting your father your whole life, but then all of a sudden you want some help. Well, not your whole life. Let's say a couple of months, a couple of years. Disrespecting him completely. Breaking all his rules, right? Disrespecting his household, your siblings, your mom, but yet you want to come and ask from Pops. You want some help from Pops. When he's a stern individual and he's told you, listen, that's not how it works. Nobody in their right mind that knows these statutes and these commandments and just the moral ways of what society used to be, what the world used to be. The morals that we used to abide by or live by back in the day. You will not help that individual. Because now you're enabling wickedness. That's what the Most High looks at it like, really? How about you show me a contrite heart? How about you go back to Jeremiah 3:12 through 13 and understand when, because I will help you, but I require something from you. It says, I require for you to leave your sin away, do away with it, come back, be completely in compliance to me, and I got you. Because it's still, the fact that you're still alive, there's still a chance that's a whole lot right there. That says a whole lot, because guess what? You're still alive. The Most High still has had that much mercy for you to get it right. But we don't see it. We were talking about that this week, and it's sad how our people don't see it, how our people don't appreciate that, how some of us in here don't appreciate that. Being here upset, feeling like, these laws are just too heavy on us. It's too much that the Most High asked for. Man, another feast day. What was that? If that. Because remember, if you're not doing it willfully, you're not doing it right. That's fake already. That's way off. And these are the things, you might be like, man, I gotta do this for the people again. It's cool with that. Let's go to let me get Wisdom of Solomon. And then we'll continue. continue. Let me get Wisdom of Solomon 1. And I think I want 20. 23. The Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 20. Start at 22.
Wisdom of Solomon,
Start at
chapter 2,
21,
and
actually. It
verse
continues with what we read in Sirach.
21. Such things they did imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness hath blinded them.
When you get a chance, you read the chapter, right? So it's talking about how the wicked deal with the righteous. The wicked be out here looking at the righteous like, damn, they think they're better than us. So let's plot on them. Let's set them up. Kind of like what they did with Christ. Not kind of, what they did with Christ. If you're the Son of the Most High, then have him save you right now. That's what this chapter is talking about. He's like, listen, if they think that they're the sons of the Most High, they're children of obedience, let's test them out. And let's see if God actually could look out for them. So that's why it said what it said. Read it again.
Such things they did imagine, and they were deceived. For their own wickedness hath blinded them.
Go ahead.
As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not. Neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness.
Man, look at that. Again, the same thing we just read about. All through the scriptures, that we're so caught up with this world that that's the only focus. And it's sad because you see it in every neighborhood where Israel lives and resides, right? Wherever we reside is the same thing. We can't even think of communities outside of ours. It's sad, but it's because of what we have created for ourselves. Because we can't think beyond what we see on a daily. Imagine before we understood that we were the children of Israel, we could not imagine that the world, just how we read a little while ago, was made for our sake. That everything here was made for our sake. That the other nations were created to serve us. We in the hood, we caught up. It's like, nah, we only have one chance. And the only things we know how to do are wicked, that continue to destroy our people, that go against the will of the Most High. But we continue to multiply and continue that cycle, right? That's why, because of this, all of, the majority of our forefathers, unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to get it right. They didn't get a chance to even understand what this looks like. We're real blessed, man. We're really blessed to be in these seats, Israel. Right? So, such things that they imagined, right? And they were deceived through their own wickedness. Go ahead. And they could not understand the mysteries of the Most High. Salakia. That's what we read in Second Timothy, 2 Peter 3:15, a couple days ago. Not understanding the writings of Paul because they seem so confusing. They're not. They're not. But since we're so disconnected, that's what they seem like, right? Go with 22 again.
As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not. Neither hoped they for wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls.
Man.
For God created man to be immortal.
Look at that.
And made him to be an image of his own eternity.
That's what that looks like. Beyond the image of what we look like physically, he made us, he created us to be in the image of his eternity. Imagine that. But we are here constantly on a daily basis fighting against time. That's why Isa has everything so laid out to the point that, man, you go to sleep just to jump back up. You out here calculating how many hours you got till you got to wake up again. That's a sad life. That's why we gotta shift that around, man. We gotta switch it around. And it's on us to do that. It's on us through these scriptures to be able to be like, you know what? We can make it happen. Because a lot of the stuff that we involved in is not necessary. A lot of it is not necessary. Going back and forth from the land, coming back to the city and looking at how people just rushing all the time. For what? For what? Just draining ourselves. Thinking that we're living when we're not. Right? Continue on.
For God created man to be immortal and made him to be in the image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and that Salaki, and they that do hold of his side do find it.
You see that? So it wasn't something light. We kind of joke around every now and then about Eve and Adam, but it wasn't light. It's just how when we mess around and when we mess up, it's not light. And it's not to be, to take as a joke or as something light. Because look at what the Most High is saying right here. It says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil. Because you understand already when you read Job. That's a prime example of the will of the Most High. Job was on point. But the Most High said, all right, go ahead and try him out. You see, his family wasn't as on point as he was. They slipped up. Lot's wife, she looked back. She looked back after all the chaos that she had witnessed. But we did that in the wilderness, though. After all the miracles, we were still out here doubtful, right? We were still missing the ways of Egypt. Just how we here be still missing the ways of America or wherever we come from, right? This society. So it says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. How do you do that? Instead of being entertained in the works, busy with the works, you're entertained with everything else that's of the world. That's how you see and you're able to tell and discern where brothers and sisters' minds be at. If you constantly, your conversation is about worldly things, I just said, man, all praises this Sunday, I'm going to start, was telling you earlier before class, to get back on to try to do what I need to do in my household. Because guess what? The last couple of months, it was the works to try to prep up for tabernacles. Before that, it was the works to prep up for the situation we had prior to that. And before that, it was Pesach. We have a couple of months, hopefully. Because I know there's other things down the line, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're so busy with the works of the Most High, you have no time to mess around. That's why it's necessary for you to be present, for you to be active, for you to see what it is that you could, contribute to or what you could help with, right? Because this, when you read the chapter, you see it's just slothful individuals that have all the time of the day to do nothing but think wicked thoughts, have wicked thoughts, wicked ideas, which is what Esau be doing. Forgot what book it talks about, they imagine wickedness and then in the morning they execute it. We low-key be acting like them, acting like we have time. We have nothing, but yet our time is invested or wasted away in what? Vain, vanity, wicked imaginations. Nothing new, though. Jeremiah 18 tells you, when Jeremiah went and talked to him, they were like, nah, you know what? We're going to do what we want to do. We want to do whatever our imagination tells us to do. What was Jeremiah saying? Listen, I'm looking out for you because the Most High is plotting. He's plotting something of mass destruction for you guys. But at the same time, he told me to come give you fair warning that if you guys get it right and repent, he's going to forget all of that. Israel said, nah, we cool with that. We going to do whatever we imagine, Jeremiah. And then they whooped him. They almost killed him. It's crazy. It's crazy, but that happens time after time after time. That's why, it's crazy where, can we all just get along? No, when? Show me in the book. When have we all gotten along? If you're wicked, you're wicked. If you're righteous, you're righteous. They don't mix. Have never mixed, right? Nope. Let's go from there. Let me get 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 1 and 3.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 3. As I besought thee to abide still in Ephesus when I went into Macedonia, that thou mightest charge some that they teach no other doctrine.
All right, so Paul's right here breaking it down and letting them know, listen, I'm here in Ephesus, right? as I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus, Salakia, when I went into Macedonia, went into Greece, went to Macedonia, that you stay on point and don't allow anybody to teach any other doctrine. Because that was when, you understand the New Testament, a lot of stuff was going on. Everything that we have right now going on was going on since then. That's where it originated, basically, to what we understand now. You had the Babylonian captivity, you had those type of doctrines, you had the the Grecian captivity, the Roman captivity. I mean, every other captivity prior to that, right? That's where a lot of these doctrines that Israel still partakes of, the Sabbatou and all that, Babylonian Sabbatou, that our people don't consider, it's crazy. You claiming to be an Israelite, got fringes and everything, but are doing Babylonian customs. Insane. So Jake right here is like, make sure that nobody teaches any other doctrine, right? Go ahead.
Verse 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do.
So what is he saying right there? Same things that brothers always talk about. We want to have these crazy breakdowns, right? Fables. Giving heed to fables and endless genealogies. For what? What good is that going to be for our people? What good has it been? None. Not at all, right? So he's saying, look, instead of that, it's best that you focus on godly edification, which is in faith. That is what you need to be doing. Well, I'm bringing this out so you could understand what this brother was bringing to the table and understanding from his own words where he was at prior to doing this. Imagine if you look at, just open yourself an atlas or go up on Google and check out all the missions that Paul partook of. That brother was busy. Man, he was shipwrecked, he was put in jail, everything, you name it, he went through it. And nothing separated him from the will of the Most High, right? But go ahead.
Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions, rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. Now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned.
You see that, sis? So it says, now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart and of a good conscience. So what good is it if you're here rocking fringes, dresses, beard, but pissed off? None. You bring the biggest plate of food, but you're pissed off. You're upset because it hit your pockets. Or you do the opposite, be like, you know what, a whole shafer was asked of me, but I'm going to bring a quarter of a shafer pan. Or that. Whatever it might be. Because sometimes you might just, that's all you have, and you do it with, all love, all praises. But again, you could bring 2 chafing pans, but be upset and don't even want to bother to be here. But you just did it because, you thought it was good. You thought that was, it was going to be good unto the Most High. Nah, it don't work like that. It's saying, it's got to be coming from a pure heart. You got to understand that what you're doing is for the Most High. It's for Yahweh Shai that gave up his life and died for you, right? Continue on up.
Desire, Salakia, verse
6.
Verse 6. From which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling.
Look at that. They swerved from the righteous path, right? And now they have given themselves up to vain jangling, which is what happens often. And that's my whole point, and not my point, but the point of the scripture is that whenever you hear these things, you need to be rooted, grounded, to be able to bring that person or those people back in order, back in line. And if they don't want to commit, if they don't want to get right, then guess what? 2 Thessalonians as well. You put them to the side. That's it. You let them go their way. And most high willing, they, being in a secluded situation, they realize that whatever they were doing was off, and they come back, repent, ask for forgiveness, and continue on the righteous path. But continue on up.
desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully.
Look at that. Another one. We be out here using this law unlawfully. Talking about we righteous. Completely off. And then going against righteous individuals, calling them unrighteous. And you have a whole bunch of, a fan base backing you, cheerleading you and all this. Is what Paul's talking about. He's like, listen, because remember, he always brought the correction. Who's Paul? Who's Apollos? He was always checking everything. So being that he's a prime example, and it's funny how a lot of our people have issues with Paul. I don't see why. I mean, I do see why. But, that shows you also the type of individual, the type of character those people have. Right? Yeah, he did. So it says, but we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. Go ahead.
But we know the law is good if a man use it lawfully, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient.
So this is where it might get a little confusing for people, right? Why isn't the law made for the righteous? Because they're already righteous, right? If you're not breaking the law, then you're good. But since you are, if you're not, right, you're breaking the law. It says the law is for these individuals, the lawless and the disobedient. Go ahead.
For the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, and Salakia, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine.
Contrary to the will of the Most High. That's what the law is for. So if we're not abiding by the law, we're doing our will. I mean, we read it in the first verse, right? We went back and read it in the Torah. What does the Most High require of us? Then Paul here in the New Testament, which is what brothers do in this present day, is breaking it down and letting you know, look, this law is for these individuals. Of course, it's for all of us. But once we start living the law and applying it, then guess what? You ain't got to worry about it, right? Like, what do you want from the store? Whatever. Somebody in the world's like, okay, damn, that means anything. No, that means whatever's righteous, whatever's in compliance to the law, whatever's not defiled, whatever's not abominable. So I know if the brother hits me up, I tell him, look, bring whatever. He's not going to bring nothing that's abominable. He's not going to bring nothing that, even has things that the world might not consider, like gelatin or glycerins or whatever it is, right? We already know. And that's what this is talking about. But this is what Paul was saying, like, listen, instead of you dealing with all these crazy breakdowns and prophecies, and listen, teach them this. Teach them how to stay on point, how to do the will of the Most High. Everything else is going to fall in place eventually. But go ahead.
Verse 11. According to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, which is committed to my trust.
Listen to that. That's what we got to look at. That's how we got to look at it, right? It says, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, right? Which was committed to my trust. If you know his story, you know what he's talking about. But that's the same thing as us, though. We were kicking against what? What were we doing in the world? We were doing whatever we wanted to do, right? We were even persecuting Israel. We was out there doing the most, whether it was the males or the women, all bad. Just by the way that we, the example that we were giving them. That's exactly what we were doing. We were in the situation as Paul was on his way to Damascus, or Saul at that time, right? So he says, which was committed to my trust. Go ahead.
Mic check. Which was committed to my trust, and I thank Christ Yahushua our Lord, who hath enabled me. For that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry.
You remember that happened, right? Yahushua spoke to him in Hebrew and brought him back. He didn't bring him back. He brought him in to be about the ministry, right? Go ahead. Look at here. There's the whole point. He breaks it down himself.
And I thank Christ Yahweh Shai, our Lord, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious. But I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief.
Listen to that, right? That's mercy. But then imagine us right here, Day of Atonement, and we've been doing the same thing for the last 5, 7, 15 years. Is it ignorantly? That's wickedness. And we expect the Most High to be cool with that. And some of us just go through the motion like, yeah, I kept Day of Atonement. How was it? It was cool. I mean, I wasn't that hungry. Bro, like, that's not the point. Like, really? You didn't meditate. You didn't ask for forgiveness. You didn't, examine. Take note of what it is that you've been doing. You didn't drop to your knees and cry to the Most High for forgiveness. But we don't. We end up being in here like, you know what? It's just another day. Yeah, I went to Tabernacles. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I was there. That's not how it works. He's telling you right here, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in what? Unbelief. I mean, he's letting you know right there. He's letting you know how it is that you need to approach this. And he was the perfect example after Christ of what that looks like, to do the will of the Most High. Go down to 16. Read 14 through 16. Yeah.
Verse 14, and the grace of our Lord is exceeding abundant with faith and love, which is in Christ Yahweh Shai. This is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Yahweh Shai came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief.
Look at that. Exactly. But imagine a lot of us, nope, I got no sin. I never sin. I've been good. I mean, some people move like that, like, look, my don't stink. But hey, there's a lot of delusion in Israel, though. A lot. Too much. Too much. Because imagine, we could be 1 year, 2 years, a couple of months in this word and feel like and act like we never did anything negative towards the Most High, and have no mercy on our brothers or sisters. Move around like we're holier than thou, with no stains, right? Yet you have a whole file of them things, them negative situations you partook of, right? Actions that you were a part of. So it says, I am chief, right? Like the Jake said, chief sinner. 16.
Howbeit for this cause, I obtained mercy, that in me first Yahweh Shai might show forth all long suffering, for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him to life everlasting.
Exactly. So these are the things that we cannot, forget about. Like, listen, how can my family members, why would they want to partake and come congregate with me when I'm not even giving them an example of what I used to be if I'm still the same way? If all they see is the person that they've known their whole life, then guess what? They're going to look at you like, man, you a joke. You acting like you're holy. You talk about these feast days, those feast days, these commandments, the food that you don't eat anymore, but you're still dealing and acting the same way from 5, 10, 15 years ago. You're still being disrespectful. You have no discipline, right? You just go off whenever, you have any issue. You don't know how to solve it according to scriptures. That's what Paul was telling you right here. Like, look, that he could be the example, right? Howbeit, it says, for this cause I obtain mercy, that in me first, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai might show forth all long suffering for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him, right? Life everlasting. And I see it, all praises to the Most High. The brothers talked about the Spirit this last tabernacle. Yeah, there's some things that we obviously need to fix, but it was beautiful. Everybody dwelling and everybody, moving at a better rate than what we have in the past. And I could only imagine what it's going to be, not only from this year to the next, but from this point on. From this point on, we got to understand what Paul is saying, because we've been them chief sinners. We've been, caught up in all types of transgression. So now we got to be the example to be able to show people what the will of the Most High is by doing the will of the Most High ourselves. Let me get John 6:38.
The book of John, chapter 6, and verse 38. For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me.
Look at that. And then Paul learned from Yahushua. Yahushua called him, right? And he said, for I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And in the Gospels where you find our Father prayer, which he commanded for us to do. So, I mean, everything that we read about, I always look at it like it's just repetitive and it's real basic, but it's not. It's not because, if it was, we would not be committing the same infractions time after time. But that's why the Most High, imagine we're supposed to be dealing and meeting with each other every Sabbath, then every new moon. We just met how many times this month? Eight times, right? About to. Yeah. You had the regular Sabbaths, then you had, the new moon, and then you had, so 8. 9. And that's just counting because we've been meeting for more than that. But I'm saying, why? And what do we talk about every time we meet? The same thing, right? And most high willing, every time we do open the book, something new hits us. Something new resonates in our spirit to shift the way that we've been or we are to be better. Even on a daily basis. That's the thing. Like, if on a daily basis you're not thinking about the Most High, what his will is, when you're going a bit left, to make sure you correct yourself, or somebody corrects you, we already slipping. We already failing. And at that point, it's like, okay, am I going to get it right? Am I going to correct myself? Am I just going to kind of like act like, nothing ever happened? Because everything comes to light. I don't know if you guys notice the climate of the community, but everything comes to light. Everything. Everything. And it'd be at the worst time for those that are, trying to cover it up. It'd be like that. But that's what the Most High said. Like he said it from the beginning. Look, nothing's going to go uncovered, right? Continue on. 39.
And this is the Father's will, which he hath given me. I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day.
Isn't it the same thing but see how necessary it was for him to come through and be that example. We read about the tabernacle of the Most High a couple days ago. He had to make himself present, visible to an extent, some type of way, right? There was a couple scriptures I didn't cover that day. But, it was smoke, it was a cloud. In the wilderness, it was a fire, a ball of fire. And the burning bush. For you to be able to understand, yeah, he is present. He did it for us from what I understood from last year, right? You guys saw chariots. We see multiple chariots in, I think it was a couple of new moons. I forgot what it was, but I know it was a holy day. And we've seen various accounts of these things. Most High confirming himself. Even right now at the camp, through the storms that he brought forth, he was confirming himself. He was letting us know, listen, I'm here. All that. I was gone both the times, but I heard, and I came back. I was like, man, what's going on this side? Because it was dry on the other side. I came through, it was puddles of water and everything, The earth on the, on the main path going in, it looked like clay. It looked different. So you could tell it was strong for it to, uncover all the dust that was on top of that. That wasn't even muddy. It was just hard rock by that time. But that's just to show you how, even on our daily lives, you see that. Not too long ago, I was out with a brother and seen the same thing, unexplained. But we were talking about certain things that day. And immediately, as soon as we started talking about those things, that presence came about. So it was vital and it was necessary for Yahweh Shai to come through. He died. He did his thing. And now, we just read about Paul. And you see everybody else after that. But it's the same thing. He says, look, I didn't come to do my will, right? It says, and this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. And also he said, look at what he said previous to that. He said, look, whatever I have right now, I'm going to lose it, but I'm going to gain it back. And this is what we need to understand, because imagine how many things we've lost, and we continue to lose, right? Yeah, but doesn't it hurt though? Con. Yeah. And that's just to show you that you're grounded, because to a lot of people, when you start going through that pain, you can't continue. All praises. And that's how it works. But you know what happens, unfortunately, to a lot of our people? They continue to chase, thinking they're going to regain whatever was taken from them. And it's an endless chase. That's what we read right now. The wicked suffer these straight things, but they can't even hope for the wide things, because they already lost hope, faith, and have no belief in the Most High. That's sad. That's that state of reprobate that the scriptures talk about. So that's all beautiful when, when we're here, we know we're going through it. I know myself, I suffer, it's hurt. It hurts, it continues to hurt. But guess what? You just listen, pay attention, be like, you know what? It's all good though. Because I'm amongst a body that is keeping these laws, these statutes, these commandments, that fears the Most High. So therefore, guess what? I'm good. And like, the sister said right now, he gives you what you need when you need it. At the last moment when you're like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get up out of this situation. Here you go. Wow. Okay. To the point that you're like, you know what, Abba? I know you got me. I'm not even going to trip no more. Although sometimes it might hit a little bit like, man, I don't know about this. Nah, you know what? Let me not trip. Let me stay busy. Let me keep pushing. Let me do your will and not my will. Yeah, I had these plans. Well, who told you to plan them out in the first place? Nah, yeah, exactly. Your will, yourself, your mind. Most High already has things set up for us. And these are the things we got to understand when things are presented. What's going on? We got to look at it like, okay, cool. I want it now. Keyword, I want it right now. But I'm saying with us, because we read about Yahweh Shai, is like, oh, that's cool, but nah, I feel like right now should be the time for me to do this. Okay, you feel whatever you want to feel, but the Most High is on his time. And now, okay, are you going to understand these things? The brother was talking about, yeah, you have money in the bank account, your arms is behind, but you rather have it in the bank account. Next thing you know, boom, something hits you. Gone. Negative. Damn, what happened? You happened. Your will happened. Because I bet you if you would have done the will of the Most High and handled his business, that wouldn't have happened. And you know it's true. You want to play around with the Most High? Watch and learn again. And I guess you're not learning because you're doing it time after time. So, you know, you want to be stubborn with it, hard-headed. These are the things that once you start understanding, it's like, okay, cool, Abba got me. Abba got me. If I do his will, he got me. Because that's how it works. But if we do our will, he's like, all right, I'm going to laugh at you right now. I'm going to see what you exactly. Joshua 1:8, right? Let me get, you know, and some of the examples like Abraham. Abraham left his people immediately. Isaac, he paid attention. He obeyed when he was like, you know what? No, it was Abram, right? Had to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Damn, man, that's why he was, what was he considered? Uh-huh. Exactly. Imagine how many things he did time after time without even questioning it. To sacrifice and the composure he kept. When Isaac was like, Abba, like, where's the sacrifice? The Most High will provide. Don't trip. It's there. Imagine how many of us would have been like, how would we be talking to Isaac? I don't know, son, but guess what? You are the sacrifice. Just you know what I'm saying though? Like, just think about how you would have, you know, dealt with that situation back in the day. And these are the things that we got to learn from our forefathers. We're like, we have no examples. We have plenty. We have plenty examples, right? You know, when that happened, he was like, man, nonchalant. He was cool about it. He was, you know, he kept his composure. Gravity, he was on point. His cool. And immediately, as soon as he was going to partake and handle it, angel came through and said, nah, you got it. All praises. You proved yourself. Again, because it wasn't the first time. So these are the things we got to consider. Like, okay, cool. Because look at this, too. Let me get, what is it? Genesis 50:20, I think it is. And there's so many situations in the Bible, like, for example, Samson. You look at Samson of like, why did he keep going after that female, right? And then immediately, like right there, I seen some Christian break it down. Yep. And he was talking about, he was just wicked and lustful, talking about Samson. But in the same chapter, when you continue reading, it says that it was of the Most High. Yeah, right down, right below it. So it's like, how did you not get that, though? But you're calling Samson just a complete mess. These are the things we don't understand. He says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. So, for example, right here, right, this is talking about, you know, Jacob's sons getting rid of Joseph. And look at what happened here. Read that. 19, 50 and 19.
Verse 19, and Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of God? Mm-hmm. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good.
Look at that. That's kind of difficult to understand sometimes, right? But when you see it, it's like Joseph never lost his focus and being righteous. Because he had the incident with Pharaoh's wife, right? She was tossing herself at him. He stayed on point. He stayed on point time after time after time after time. Although his brothers had thought to kill the brother. And then eventually said, nah, you know what? Who was the little brother that spoke up for him, right? I think? Or Reuben. Reuben spoke up for him and said, nah, you know what? Let's just sell him. Let's not take him out. So now he's saying, listen, because remember, now he's talking about the time his people are coming through. There's a drought. There's no food anywhere. And thanks to him, all of Israel was saved. Thanks to the wickedness, in a sense, let me not say it like that, but, you know, the scripture says it. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but the Most High meant it unto good. Go ahead.
But God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them.
Look at that. That's a big example of us, but yet we can't forgive each other for a comment that we made towards each other that probably was taken out of proportion. These brothers were going to put him to death, and then they sold him to the Egyptians. And look at how he's dealing with them. The understanding of Joseph, he was like, listen, you guys meant it to take me out, right? You guys did this as an evil against me. But guess what? The Most High meant it for good. And now, all praises to the Most High. He says, fear ye not. I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them. Brothers that sought to kill him, that were out there to take him out of jealousy. But that's just to show you the prophecy, because what were they jealous about? Remember? The prophecy. Man, we try to fight so much against what's already laid out, which is the will of the Most High. They were jealous about a lot, but guess what? The Most High had already chosen his path to be a certain thing. You know? I think the battery out. Hold down. So this is the stuff that we got to look at, the things, the stories, man, that we read about and really don't understand. Joseph could have been, many of us would have been like, hey, you see how you did me? Payback's up, right? Karma's a, we would have been acting a damn fool against our brethren. You know, Daddy, I'm going to help you out, but these dudes right here, nah, that's cool. Y'all figure it out. He said, nah, listen, I got you. He spoke kindly unto them, right? And, you know, the bishop was talking about Goshen just recently, how he ended up acquiring the best portion of land in Egypt. Goshen, right? So imagine, again, the will of the Most High was done regardless. And he was still merciful to be able to be there to help out the rest of Israel that was acting wicked at that moment, you know, in the past. So these are things that, you know, like I said, the story of Samson, you might be like, but why? A lot of times, instead of asking why, just meditate. Take some time, just dwell, examine, and keep about about the course that you're supposed to be on, which is doing his will. And the Most High will, you know, reveal whatever he needs to reveal to you. He might be dealing with you a little different than the next person. But at the same time, still continue your mission, and you'll see everything's going to be what it needs to be. We feel like, man, you know what, we should get rid of this person. Why is this person still around? Nah, the Most High will do what he needs to do in due time. That person, that's what they felt like right here with Joseph. That person might save you someday. And you're going to be like, damn, I really thought this about you about 5 years ago. I could not stand you. I really wanted you to be gone. Who are we to even think like that? You know? But these are the things that we need to consider. But that also, that's not to negate the fact that if somebody comes to correct you because you're off, that you're going to continue to be off. You got to have that balance. You got to have that balance. Because, again, it's wicked for you to have somebody that's always breaking rules and going against, right, the standards of the Most High and not say nothing to them. So, again, the Most High is a perfect balance, man. It's just balance is how the scriptures break it down. Let's finish it up. Let me get Galatians 6. No, before we go there, let's go to Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. And prime example of what we just read right now with Joseph. He stayed on point.
Jeremiah 29 and verse Salakia. Yeah, 29 and verse 11. Here it is. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
Joseph, prime example of that, right? Joseph could have been doubting. I doubt that he ever doubted, because he kept just thriving no matter where and who he was around. He stayed on point. He kept his morals on point. He kept the Most High's direction, his focus, right? He stayed on point. He stayed on course. So it says, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. The brother not only had an expected end, he had 2 tribes in that land, and he was able to save his whole family and thrive. Because remember, from then it goes to Exodus chapter 2, I think it is, or Exodus 1, where the new Pharaoh comes in. And they're like, hey, you know what? We got to get rid of these Israelites because they're thriving. They're about to overtake us. That's how powerful that was. That's the expected end that the Most High had for Joseph, and not only for Joseph, but his whole nation, literally his whole nation. And that's where that hate came from, the Egyptians that said, nah, you know what? We gotta put some rigor on these individuals. Think about that. So it goes on, in stages. Joseph did what he had to do. The Most High did, yeah, but I'm just talking in regards to, like, what the scripture's talking about right here, about us as individuals. Joseph was on point, had an expected end, a peace. He had peace even when he was tossed in jail and all that stuff. He was still at peace no matter what. When that female was tossing herself at him, nope, he stayed on point. It was peaceful. Imagine, everything but the power was given unto Joseph, right? Go ahead.
Verse 12. Then shall you call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart. And I will be found of you, saith the Lord. And I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations, and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord. And I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive.
Con, and if you read before that, 4 down to 8 or 9, it's talking about us building our own cities, our own living quarters out here, and dealing with each other, basically drinking from our own cisterns, depending on ourselves, and obviously through the Most High. So he's saying you got to go through these things, just like how we read in Deuteronomy 30. The curse, the blessing, then he will bring you back. And then he says right here, bring you back to the place that was intended for you from the beginning, that we read about in Esdras, if we do his will, right? So let's finish it up with, let me get 1 Thessalonians 5:22. And then we'll finish it up with Matthew.
The book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5 and verse 22.
No, well, let me get 4. 1 Thessalonians 4 as well. 4 and 3. Salak, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 3.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 3. This is the will of God, even your sanctification, that you should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor.
Look at that. We talked about that a couple days ago, right? Sanctification. To be within the tabernacle of the Most High, which tabernacle we are, right? We are that tabernacle now, right? So it says, for this is the will of the Most High. Read it again,
For this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication.
Imagine that, though. Like I was, talking about earlier. I don't know what your route looks like. Obviously, it's probably just freeway. But if you go through any of these cities right now, LA Live, you go to the woods, you go anywhere, Pasadena, South Pass, Hollywood, Studio City, what's going on out there? And what was going on? Because we was back there back then, right? What was going on? What are you doing out there? What are you looking for? You're looking for this right here where it says, for this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication. Whether it's physical or spiritual, either way you're committing it. Because you're out there right now. You're out there in that dangerous place or places instead of being here in safety, in the safety of the Most High. Read 4.
That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor.
Look at that. This is what we're learning right here. Right? Learning how to possess our vessel, our body, the temple. Not to be partakers of all that's out there. Go ahead and get the other Thessalonians 5:22.
Verse 22, abstain from all appearance of evil, and the very God of peace sanctify you wholly. And I pray God your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Lord Yahushua.
Exactly. Finish it up with Matthew 10:6 and 10. Come on.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 10. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
So that's where we get that, right? Where we get that from, right? We repeat it day after day. But do we do it? Said, after this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That's what Christ was talking about. Man, I was sent here to do his will. He says, whatever I'm going to lose right now, I'm going to gain at the end. It's already been proven. And immediately he gave up, he came back and then was ascended, he ascended up. And the scriptures tell you now he's at the right of the Most High. That quick. Just waiting. So Most High willing, it was edifying. I hope brothers and sisters were able to understand what the will of the Most High is, which I would assume we already knew. So with that, we're going to close it out. Please tune in again tomorrow at 4:30 for the closing Sabbath service with Bishop Taziah 1. Shalom and have a blessed Sabbath.